Hey guys, welcome to the Neglected Podcast. This podcast is not to change your mind, but to invite you into somebody else's narrative. This is a podcast to give a voice to the neglected. It is also an opportunity for all of us to engage.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Neglected Podcast. My name is Nick Schultz. You can hit me up at Schultzy Time. You can reach us at For the Neglected on social media. Thank you, Producer Quinn, for being here. Like always, you're the man, and City Church for hosting us. Today, got a friend, a special guest. His name is Jabre Brown. What's up, man? How you doing?
Man, I'm good. How you doing?
I'm doing all right. I'm really appreciate you being here, and got a lot of stuff to talk about and share, and especially it's really important with a lot of the events that have been going on recently, too. So I'm excited to kind of hear part of your story. So thank you, man.
No problem, man.
All right. Well, let's get into it. Let's talk about little Jabre, man.
All
Paint
right.
us a picture of what life was like growing up, where you were, location-wise, what your family dynamic was like, and what was it like, man?
Well, growing up, I'm from Savannah, Georgia. Born October 25th, 1995. Candler, I think. I want to say. I don't know. I have to look at my birth certificate and make sure. But born here in Savannah, Georgia. Lived here all my life. Born by a single mother. She was very young, 16 when she had me. Yeah, man.
So never knew dad or who he was or anything like that?
Well, there was a guy that I did. Yes, I do know my father.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely. I don't really want to get into the specifics of it because it's quite crazy, but it's all right. Yes, I did know my dad. And he was there pretty much all the time. My auntie, my mother, she was kicked out of the home because I don't really know the specifics of that, but she was kicked out of the home and she had to stay with my auntie. And a few months ago, she told me that my father would be, he would come over to the house like almost every day. Yeah, and he was just committed. She said there was never a day that man was not at the house, and yeah, so I don't remember that far back, but she told me that, and I was like, okay. And pretty much all of my life, he's been around. Yeah.
Okay. And any siblings at all?
I do. I have a lot of siblings. I have about 7 sisters.
Wow.
And let me see how many brothers.
If it's over 7, that's really impressive.
So I got 4 brothers.
Okay. Not as many as the sisters.
Yeah, right. No, I got 4 brothers. I have a lot of siblings, and I'm the oldest of all of them.
All right, me too, man. There's a
Right.
special pride with that.
Yes, sir. Oh, yeah, it is.
We're the best.
Definitely. I got to lead by example. You got to show them the right way.
That's true. All right. So, and what was the neighborhood or the school dynamic? Were you in a pretty diverse area or school, or was it not so much?
So, okay. When I started elementary, I started at Hodge Elementary. Okay. I was there until I was there. I reached pre-K.
Mm-hmm.
Was kicked out because, and here we go. I'm talking about school and how horrible I was as a child. Okay, anyway.
Just go for it. It's all good.
Hey, Hodge Elementary, I was kicked out, and I reached pre-K. Was kicked out because I threatened a teacher. And I know you're looking at me, you're like saying, how can a teacher be so threatened by a pre-K?
I'm just wondering, like pencil, protractor.
No, see, what I said was, I think it was playtime, and I think it was time to put up the toys or whatever, and I didn't want to, I guess. And this is the story that they told me. I can't really remember that far, but this is the story that my mom told me. And she's, they were trying to get the toys away, from me, and I said, you know what? I'm gonna bust the windows out your car. That's what I said. And she got mad and she reported me to the principal's office.
Now, when I hear I'm going to bust the windows out of your car, because I've got toddler and kindergarten and stuff like that, it's because they heard it from someplace, whether it's a video game, it's music, it's somewhere, and it's not necessarily I have any idea like how severe it is. It's just it's what I hear, man.
Well, let me tell you, I wrote that song. Okay, that was my idea.
So, do you have some anger issues at that age or growing up, or was it just like
I did? I think I had no, I did. I did have a lot of anger issues growing up, but there are a lot of reasons why. I think, and I don't know. There were a lot of reasons why. After me getting kicked out of Hodge Elementary, it was kind of like a blur, but I do remember ending up at Pulaski Elementary. And I was there until about third grade, and I got kicked out. School has been very, very, I think I've been very, very difficult, a difficult child to like deal with. And I think I'm going to do a public apology to some of the teachers. If you're seeing this, if you're watching this, I'm sorry. I've been wanting to do that for a very long time now. But yes, Pulaski has been a roller coaster. I think when I was in first grade, second grade, I can't remember. I remember the teacher, Miss Smart. There was another teacher. I'm sorry. I'm naming people now, but
sorry, you apologize.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm naming people I didn't mean to. But anyway, there was another teacher that worked with her. She was a paraprofessional, and I stole her phone. I really liked the phone. I know it was a flip phone. It was like one of those older phones. I stole it, and oh my goodness, she came after me. I remember, I was in another classroom, and she's calling the phone, and the phone is in my backpack because I took it. And I remember she reported me to the principal's office. My principal at the time was a very, very scary man. I don't know too many people. I mean, a lot of people know about Pulaski Elementary, but he was a very scary man. He would, if you had to go to his office and it was for like your behavior or whatever, he would kind of like yell at you a little bit, but then he'll take out this big old paddle and just hit it across the desk. And, he's acting like he's going to hit you with it, but he's not. Obviously, he can't really hit you with it. But as a child, you don't know that. You think he's going to hit you with it. So
you get kicked out of preschool school.
Right.
Get kicked out of another elementary school. And is this a pattern that keeps going on?
It does. So I get kicked out of Pulaski, third grade, and now I end up at Butler Elementary. Same thing, See, Butler, though, was a very, they could handle me as a child, though. It wasn't like a normal elementary school, bad kid, they give up. We can't deal with him, let him go. Butler was different. They let me know that, hey, we're not going to play these games with you. I did try to go as far as I could, but then when I did go far, and I'm shaking, it's a little cold in here, man.
It'll heat up.
They told me, hey, we're not going to put up with the games. Hey, if you're going to be here, you're going to be respectful. You're going to be a good kid. And, that was the limit. That was the whole conversation. But I still tried to take it a little bit further. And I did have some issues with a few of my classmates, teachers. I mean, I remember they called STAR on me, the STAR program. I don't know if anybody remembered that program, but STAR program, they would come in and it's like kind of like boot camp, but I really didn't make it to the boot camp stage. They would come to the school and kind of discipline you like that, make you do 6 inches and stay there for like hours. It was horrible.
So where do you think all this came from? Like behavior stuff or just the emotions or anger or curiosity to push the limits? Was it things you saw? Was it something like you've always had in you, or you look back on it and you see like, man, because I went through this kind of stuff that I was just acting out? Like, what do you think was going on?
Man, I mean, a lot of it can come from when you are neglected as a kid by your parents. I don't think my mom necessarily like neglect, like she didn't just give up on me. No, as I think my mom had other priorities and she had other issues going on. So one thing I know, as if I was to ever become a parent, is that when you have children, they should be your number one priority. I mean, as far as them growing up, because I mean, is you know, my mom she didn't make the best decisions, and it's not just her. I had a stepdad too as well, who was married to my mom. He was a good guy. He raised us, did everything for us, right alongside my mom. But yeah, I think that's the reason why. I don't know.
Well, how did it manifest itself when you got older and you're going through puberty and kind of adolescent stuff, where it's consequences are a little bit more severe, and you know, you're going through all these changes in your body and your mind, and you just start thinking differently about females or about life and wanting to live this kind of life, and you see friends doing this kind of stuff, and like, you know, what happened when those kind of things, those merged? And
well, that came later. I really didn't have to worry about, like, as far as me growing up, like in my teens or probably a little bit younger than that. I really didn't care about too much about what was going on in the world. I really wasn't thinking on that type of level. Because
you're a pretty outgoing guy, you know what I mean? Like, you're people are drawn to you, want to hang out with you. You're outspoken, outgoing.
Right.
And I'm just trying to imagine, is that the same case in junior high and high school? You're like that, or you different than you are now?
No. I was very outgoing and very. No, I had a lot of friends, a lot of people who were drawn to me. I mean, even adults at a young age were drawn to me, and it was crazy. I've always had that gift of just drawing people closer, winning their hearts. I think that's one of the ways of saying it, because it was a lady who, she didn't know me from anything, and she came to me and she was like, I don't know what it is about you, but I was just drawn to you for some reason. And she was like, you have a gift and you should use it. I'm like, okay. All right. I guess I will.
You didn't tell her you're going to bust her windows at her?
No.
That's good.
No. There's no reason to, man. She was a nice lady, right?
That's cool, man. Well, how did, I know we're going to talk about race and a lot of the stuff a little bit later too, but how did race play a factor, if any, when you were growing up and all this was going on? Did you even recognize things? Did your parents or family have to tell you certain things, or like?
No, my mom and never even. I learned about race in school, I think, and I never, to be honest, I've never had any, like, how can I say, I've never had race issues growing up. Like, I never noticed it. I've always read about it. Like I said, I learned it in school. I always read about it,
but you didn't experience it.
I've never experienced anything. I mean, I probably did, but didn't think it was a race thing, right?
Yeah.
But hey, no, like I said, now I have some stories where I've witnessed it.
Yeah. Well, and we'll get into that. So,
right.
You're going through, just briefly, like, did high school go all right? Did you get kicked out of high school? Did you make it through?
Oh, I
all
did.
That kind of stuff. And
definitely got kicked out of high school, bro. Come on, man.
Man, I was pulling for you.
No, man. I got kicked out of middle school. You like,
so every single one, preschool,
Yes.
Elementary school, middle school, and high school.
Man.
At least you're consistent, man.
Right. It was, man. Middle school. I'm surprised you didn't ask about that. Middle school was High school is where it calmed down a little bit, but middle school is where I was awful.
Really?
I was, in middle school, I think if the parents are listening, they should really pay attention to their kids in middle school. It's where they learn a lot of things.
Well, that's usually where parents end up like leaving them alone, unfortunately.
Right. Middle school is where your kid will learn a lot of stuff. I mean, if they go to the right middle school, I guess. I don't know. The middle school I went to was not a good one, but it was the middle school in the area. That's the school that I had to go to. Oh, well, I met some good friends. I didn't make the best decisions. I didn't do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So you got kicked out of middle school, high school, but eventually you end up leaving high school and going on to adulthood. And so
right.
What's the transition? What were you looking to do in life? Did you have a plan? And where did you go after high school when you were 18?
Man, after high school, I did not have a plan. Matter of fact, I remember the senior week, last week of school, I was watching everybody sign little documents, going to college and stuff. And I was so upset because I was like, man, why did I waste all this time? I didn't apply for a single college. Didn't even have the perfect scores, SAT, ACT. Didn't have the perfect scores. I mean, I was a horrible test taker, and I'm still a horrible test taker till this day. But,
join the club, man.
Right. Didn't have the scores, man, but I do remember one guy, Mr. Ford. Oh man, I'm sorry I said his name, but you know what? I love this guy. Okay, so I want him to actually see this, and he is gonna watch this because I'm gonna show. I want to, if you guys post it, I want to show him this.
Oh, we'll post it.
All right. So awesome guy. I came to him. He was one of my advisors in high school, and I remember. Well, he was one of them. He was really a mentor. At the time, I had another advisor. Since I was a senior, he was really my advisor in my freshman year, my 9th grade year of high school. But my advisor in 12th grade, she was pregnant and she could not. She wasn't there, and so I couldn't get in touch with her, and I was upset. So I came to him. I said, "Look, I need to get in college. I need to do something, right?" I took the ASVAB. Couldn't get into the military because I made poor scores on the test, right? I'm a horrible test taker. And so I said, look, I'm going to try college. I want to see if I can do this college thing, right? And he said, okay. I said, look, they had a lot of advice to, it was like, hey, you should probably start off here. I said, you know what? I want to go to Savannah State. Okay, I don't want to go nowhere, no big school. I don't want to go off anywhere. I want to stay close to home, right? In case this doesn't work for me, right? I have a backup plan. So I said, yeah, let's apply for Savannah State. I applied and he helped me out. It was kind of difficult. I had to take since I didn't make good scores on the ACT or SAT. I had to take the compass test. And I took that test 5 times, did not pass it. I got close, right? I would pass one section, and then I think math was one of the sections, right? I would fail it with like a point, but you have to take the whole test over again. Like, even the section that you passed, you have to take it over again.
It's frustrating.
Right. I'm like, why can't I just take the one that I failed, right? No, you have to take the whole test over again. And so I had to take it five times. My 5th time, I gave up. I said, you know what? Yeah, God doesn't want me in school. So I think he doesn't want me in the military. In school, no. So I think I should just go to work. Didn't have a job in mind. I was just going to just find one and just work it. But got a call few months later after that, and this guy from admissions, I think, of of Savannah State, he called and he said, "Hey, I have a way. Are you still interested in, being a student at Savannah State University?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "Okay, well, I see here that you can't pass the compass test, but we have one other option that you can take. All right, we will send you to Savannah Tech. Okay, you will take 2 classes at Savannah Tech. You have to pass, and there'll be college courses. You would have to pass those college courses, with A's, B's, or whatever, just to prove that you can actually, be a student at Savannah State University." Yeah. And I said, okay. I did that. I did the 2 classes, and the 2 classes, college courses, was intro of computers, and the other one was psychology. And I did well in both. I made an A in psychology, intro computers. I think it was a B, but I think I could have did better, but hey, whatever. So I was able to transfer to Savannah State University, and I'm there now, and I am a senior right now at Savannah State University. I've been there ever since, man.
Awesome.
Right.
Good job, man. You pulled through, you persevered. It's a tough journey. As someone who took 6 years to get out of a 4-year, get a 4-year degree, and
5 years.
See, you got kicked out of, elementary school, middle school, and high school. I got kicked out of college.
Oh, well, hey.
But it wasn't because I made a song to throw something through a window. It was more because I didn't show up and get good enough grades. But I did get kicked out. So, and school sucks for me. I didn't like it, but eventually you gotta. When you do get through and persevere, it's like
it works out, right?
It works out, and like you learn to go through something that even though you don't like it, like it makes you better for it. So, good job. I'm glad you're doing that. Well, I'm interested where singing comes in too, because one of the ways that we got connected was singing. You were just singing at the church I was working at, not the exact location, a different one, but you were singing at it, and you also are a performer now at the theater where we have good friends who do theater shows and singing and stuff. So, where did that come from? Were you singing at any point up into school? I know you're writing the song and stuff, but like, were you actually performing anywhere, or did it just happen naturally?
No. Well, I could say my singing started at Christian Revival Center. It was a church that I attended when I was younger. It's one of the first. Well, yeah, because my grandmother, my mother, and my uncles they attended that church as well. So, I've been going to that church since I was, hand baby. Mm-hmm. When I was old enough, I was 12 years old, I decided to become an usher. At that time, from hand baby up until 12 years old, shy. And I know a lot of people are looking at this and probably can't believe it. Mm-hmm. Very shy. Mm-hmm. Very, very shy. So I had no dream of ever getting up in front of people, ever. But it was until I was about 15 years old, yeah, man, I started singing for Christian Revival Center. I joined the choir or the praise and worship team at that time, mm-hmm. and man, it just took off. I really enjoyed it. I wasn't perfect, but you give it your all, and it just becomes great. I was dancing. I did that. I did a lot of dancing. I did plays and stuff, mm-hmm. because we had a guy at the church who was in charge of the dancing, and he was a very, very talented dude. He also wrote all of his plays that I was in. Just very talented. I mean, I didn't realize that until later that he was a very talented dude. And
was that church a predominantly African American church, or was it a mixed church, or?
That church had ups and downs. It was an all white church.
Really?
At first. But the pastor of the church gave the church to my pastor.
Oh, okay.
Who's Pastor Freddie L. Hebron, and he's deceased, by the way. but he gave the church to my pastor, and it was mixed at one point.
Mm-hmm.
And I think kind of the people who were there kind of like followed the other people, and then there were a lot of other people who stayed. But yeah, it was mixed, and there were some times where it was just all black.
Okay, yeah, 'cause that's what I've heard about. I thought it was, but I didn't know like the history of
Right.
how far back it went and what happened. That's very interesting.
Right.
You know, part of the reason of asking that now too is because, you know, the church that you go to and sing at now is, I would say, a predominantly white church.
Right. Right.
And, you know, in some areas very conservative in certain ways of belief and, you know, things like that. And, you know, you are a young black man at a predominantly white church who's up on stage and in front of people. And, you know, the thing I always wonder is just like what that experience is like for you, not just like on stage and performing, but what it's like when you're around people. And especially, you know, we've talked before just about race. Like
Right.
It's really exciting. You know, I'm just going to say it's really exciting for people that are predominantly white church to have like a young black person on stage singing and being excited and being a part of it. And you're like, yes, this is what we want. We want diversity. And
Right.
we love that, man. Jabre, he's so awesome. And like, I'm sure everybody loves you and wants you to sing all the time, wants you to do everything that they're doing.
Right.
And that's a really good feeling. But, you know, there's another side of it too, of like, you know, but do you feel like, you know, people that still feel that same way about you performing, being part of it, you know, do you ever wonder, do they take the time to know what I struggle with, maybe being the minority at the church or being that young black man who everyone's excited about, but nobody really wants to know either, you know, my history or what it's like to be me because I'm not like you. And, you know, I just wondered that because I have those conversations with other people and it's, like I say, it's like taboo or anything, but sometimes you don't get into those kind of real conversations. And so I'm
Right.
wondering if it, you know, feels like, hey, I know you like me, but there's still more
Right.
there. You know what I mean? If
Right.
that makes sense.
Well, I mean, like I said, you know, being there, yeah, I do wonder if people really do people like me for what I can offer, or do they really like me as a person, to get to know me, to understand me as a person, right? I mean, I feel like there are a lot of people at Compassion who do love, like really love me as a person,
Yeah.
and really do want to get to know me, and really, they do look at my story and see, oh my goodness, this is a guy who he's been through a lot, but he's still allowing God to do great things in his life, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's still obedient to the word of God, even though it can be very, very, the road was rough in the past and it's going to be rough in the future, right? People understand that. Some people understand that. I can say that there has, you know, I tried to see how far I can go with some of the people at Compassion with bringing up issues and certain topics that deals with race. And sometimes you had some good responses. Sometimes you had negative responses. Sometimes you had some people, I've had conversations with people where they would tell me I shouldn't have those conversations because I haven't built enough connection with people, right? And I'm like, that's weird. I didn't know I have to, you know, build connection to raise awareness.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you're gonna when you're raising awareness, you're you know, there are gonna be people that you don't know that you want to give this message out to, and you have no type of connection with them at all.
Mm-hmm.
But you want this message to be, you know, released to them, to, you know, to let them know what's going on, and, you know, how things are and how wrong it is. But
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I don't see like there being like major issues. I just, you know, from your perspective, I'm just always trying to put myself like in your shoes and wonder, especially when like, you know, Ahmaud Arbery and these racial issues come up that hit
Right.
so close to home.
right,
And, you know, people have opinions about them, and they're same people you worship with or you go to church with, and you are very much the minority. And then, you know, either people say something or they don't want to talk about it around you or with you at all. And it's like, hey man, you're the one person that people should be, feeling comfortable to go to if they are, your friend or you're with them in those kind of situations. Like, I want people to go to you and want your opinion. Hey, what is it like for you? What do you think about this? Because like, it doesn't affect me the same, and it's not, it's maybe foreign to me, or I don't understand, but Jabre, help me understand like what's going on and what, maybe black people or young black man goes through when these kind of things happen. Has anything like that happened to you, or have you ever felt that way? And, I always just fear there's a disconnect there where we love seeing people, we love what they can do, and hey, we're all on the same team. But those kind of issues, all of a sudden, people don't want to talk about them or bring them up. Because it's harder for you to go to someone who's white and say, hey, can we talk about this Ahmaud Arbery situation?
Right.
That's putting you out there really, really far, as opposed to like, man, it'd be really cool if the majority, someone representing the majority came to you and said, hey man, help us understand what's going on.
Right. Yeah. And I'd be open to that. I mean, to help help people understand, but I don't know, when people probably ask that question, they don't really want to understand. They really don't want the truth. People say, look, I want to understand this, but really don't. I mean, because it gets deep, right? For what I've learned at Savannah State University from Caucasian men who actually works there, who have been very, very, like, not beyond mentors to me, but great men who are historians, right? And they read these things and will come to you and say, and I wish they would come on one of these podcasts. I think they would love to. But they have agreed, man, that it goes deep. I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but I know this. For me, and those who are conspiracy theorists, but for me, I mean, I'm not going to go chasing something that I will never understand because it goes so deep, right? Mm-hmm. Even historians will tell you that it's deep, and it gets deeper and deeper. You just find out new things every day, right? And only God knows. Only God knows everything. And, so I try to understand what I can. Mm-hmm. But go ahead.
No, I was gonna say I would love to segue into like you've had recent experiences because of your race,
right,
and stuff you've went through that I think it's a good kind of transition piece to explain why it's kind of a much bigger issue now for you than maybe it was just even a couple years ago.
Yeah, it's always God has given me, and I want to, and this is one of the things that I've understood of myself is that I have a heart, bro. Mm-hmm. And I don't, and to be honest, I know that's crazy to like just kind of like say out of the blue, but I'm always thinking about other people, and I really think about myself, right? And some people may say, well, if they know me in my past, well, you didn't seem like a good person then. I've always been that person to like kind of just like, I'm always thinking about others, I'm not negative at all towards people. Mm-hmm. It's hard for me. Like, I'm not, what's the word?
I mean, you choose to use, if something's wrong with somebody, would you rather use the word like they're ignorant about something as opposed to saying they're racist or they're bigoted or there's something else they just don't understand? Or
I just say they're having a bad day. That's it, bro. Look, because for me, it upsets me to see stuff like Ahmaud being shot and killed, right? Mm-hmm. An unarmed man. It upsets me to see Trayvon Martin, who was shot and killed while I was in 9th grade, by the way. And actually, I got kicked out of Beach High School, threatening a teacher that year, and had to go to Scott Alternative School. And that story that day I was in trouble with the principal because he was talking to me and I kept walking, and I knew he was talking to me. I just kept walking. I was acting like I didn't hear him. He was telling me to tuck my shirt in, me being disobedient. And that was the day I go in the classroom and I hear that a young man was killed and his name was Trayvon Martin. And that was the story. I really didn't think too much of it. There was another guy being killed at the time because of the loud music. I don't know if you remember that one. But it was a young man who was killed because there was a guy who was playing loud music. Guy wanted him to turn it down. Caucasian guy wanted him to turn the music down. He had said some things to his passenger, but ended up in killing the guy or shooting at the car and killing the guy. But that was another incident that happened during that year. And this is when, this kind of like piqued my, kind of opened my head, my mind, or my eyes, I'm saying, to the fact that, oh my goodness, this is real. Stuff is real.
And you maybe start thinking like, hey, maybe I'm going to be viewed like that for doing something maybe someday. Or like, did it become that real? Or
this could have happened to me. Like, I'm like, I don't know how old Trayvon Martin was, but I was young.
Yeah, he was young.
And apparently I was dumb, young and dumb, I didn't say that. But I was young and I thought young. Okay. And that could have, I wasn't raised in like I was raised in like a black neighborhood. So I didn't really have that issue. But that could have been me, right? And so it kind of opened my eyes a little bit.
Well, you did have a couple incidents that were you. And, one of them I would love for you to talk about where it's, you saw multiple sides from the police side to the how things happen. And, I don't want to put all the words in your mouth, but just maybe give everybody kind of a little setup of what happened. Was a year last year?
No, it happened this year.
It was this year.
January.
Okay, so it was this year.
January,
so explain what happened
7th.
For as details as you want to give, but just kind of like set it up for what kind of happened to you.
Brought in the new year, really nice. It was really fun. 7 days later, No, I think for what happened with me was totally, I would say not fair, but it is what it is. I take it, and at this point I let it go. I forgive and I move on. But I was accused of doing something or committing a crime that I did not commit. It was actually the people I was staying with, but won't get into the details of that. But yeah, I was accused of just committing a crime that I did not commit. Talking to some of the authorities, I can't give them no type of information because I don't know anything. You know how there's moments where you're just not, not I want to say naive, but you don't know anything. You're people that you stay with are very secretive, right? And so to be honest, you don't want to. I'm just happy that I'm staying in a place. I have a place to lay my head, and I got my own things that I'm doing. I'm going to school. I'm working 2 jobs. I was working at Enterprise, and I'm working at the Savannah Theater, so I'm not really home at all. Right? I'm a family man, so that if I do have downtime, which is rare, right? That I have downtime, and if I do crave like sleep or whatever because I need it. But if I do have downtime, I'm with my family. I'm very family oriented. So if I'm not working, if I'm not in school, I'm with my family, right? So yeah, really can't give the proper people, the authorities, the proper information that they need, right? They tell me, hey, okay, well, we'll let you go. You're good. I guess you're clean. You're good. But then few minutes later, they're handcuffing you, saying that they found something in your room, and you're wondering like, well, it wasn't my room when I got there, So, and then you go into jail for 3 weeks.
Just like that.
Just like that. For 3 weeks, 22 days, you're an innocent man sitting behind bars. Just thinking, I was thinking, a lot of people really seemed like they were having a good time up in there. But for me, I just could not get out of my head. There was so many things that I was thinking of. School, right? Work, bills, all of this stuff that I was thinking. I really wasn't thinking that, they can really lock me up and throw away the key. Wasn't thinking about that.
Mm-hmm.
I was just thinking about all of this other stuff that
Trying
I
to stay
would have
positive, have something to go to.
Well, it really didn't keep me positive. Like school, like I went to jail on the 7th. School started on the 13th.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, I can't miss school. Like that was my whole argument when the officer was like, she came and she was talking to me and I was in handcuffs. I was in the back of the car. She was talking to me. I was like, look, I can't go to jail. I got school. She was like, you'll be out tomorrow. I said, are you sure? She was like, yeah. Okay. That kind of helped the process a little bit of me going in.
So why did they arrest you then? Because they didn't trust you? Like it was in
No.
your room or something? Or was
Right.
it
It was
something
something. They said, well, okay, well, so, before I stayed there, that room was being used to do whatever they were doing.
Mm-hmm.
I called, my relative that was staying there, and I said, hey, look, I need a place to stay for 8 months. That was all. I said I was going to stay for 8 months, and just until I got out of school. I said 8 months because he told me, he asked me, how long was I staying? I told him 8 months. I'll be out of your hair 8 months. Just give me 8 months. And I was really trying to get out of there earlier than that. I don't know. I just really didn't like that, they were never home, right? I don't know. I just really didn't feel right moving in.
Mm-hmm.
So I was trying to get out there quick, but I was trying to make arrangements. I called a couple of people from the church to see if I could stay with them. So yeah, people don't know, I was trying to make arrangements to move out of that place, but I couldn't. Yeah. It didn't work fast enough. The 7th came and all of this happened, but I called him. He said, okay, give me a few months, not a few months. I think he said, give me a few days to kind of like, think about it. So those few days, he used to clean up the room, to get whatever the products and all of the stuff that he was using to get it out of the room. And then they wanted to store it in the garage, which this garage was a part of the house, but there was no way you could go into the garage, right? You had to go outside, but it was still attached to the house. Mm-hmm. So he called me, he said, okay, you can move your stuff in. We have the room ready. Got there. He was cleaning up the room. He was kind of sweeping it up, but I was like, this room is very dusty. Like, what are y'all doing in here? And so he, I didn't really ask that, but what I did, I was thinking in my head, I was like, the house is pretty old. They were doing like they looked like they were doing some construction, like they were doing some work on it. So I thought it was remnants from the construction work they were doing. And so when I first got there, I moved my stuff in out there. My stuff was still in bags and in crates that I had. I never really fully took everything out and placed it anywhere. There was a dresser in there, but I didn't use it. It was old. Mm-hmm. I didn't use it. The only thing I used it was to store stuff on top. And that was the TV and whatever. But when I first got there, I did not sleep in the room. I slept in the living room because it was a TV in there, and that's before they gave me this TV. There was a TV in there, and then also the room was filled with that powder. I didn't want to breathe it in sleeping, So I slept in the living room, and they gave me a TV, and so I finally moved into the room and kind of tried to clean up that stuff. It got on my hands and stuff. And then I tried to put my shirt over my mouth and nose so that I don't breathe the remnants of the construction. Later on, find out that it's drugs. Yeah. But I'm glad that I didn't breathe it in. And clean out the closet, I hang up my clothes, and that's pretty much it.
Mm-hmm. So police weren't buying it though. I mean, they're like, how do you not know what's in here or what?
No, I think they did believe me, and they did. They did believe me because I'm coming to them, genuine. Like I'm like, I don't know. I didn't know this was going on. I didn't know they had this stuff. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Because I've only had access to the house through the front door and the back door, right? I mean, not the back door, my room. Mm-hmm. So that was the only access I had to the home, like to get in the house and to get into my room. So places that were restricted for me, I didn't go snooping around, and I didn't go into their rooms. Mm-hmm. My uncle and some other guy didn't go into their rooms.
You didn't want to know. You just wanted a place to crash.
I just needed a place to stay. Yeah. I basically, when I came home, I would go lock my door. That was it. Yeah. I stayed in my room until I had to leave again to get something to eat or go to work. But most of the time, like I said, I worked so much and went to school that I craved sleep. So I would go
need to crash.
Right. I would go lock my door. I put on something on the TV, and I'd be out like a light.
So what part of the process did you really feel was unfair to you?
Everything. I feel like everything was unfair. They knew. My mother was there when they arrested me, and when we were about to take off, they were transporting us, all three of us, to the jail to be processed and put in jail. My mom talked to one of the DEA agents, and he was just being rude to her. They found out that I had a lot of weapons, and I guess didn't want me to leave the scene with them, mm-hmm. because later find out that the law enforcement have this type of tactic where they seize your things. If it's dealing with a drug bust, they can basically keep your things. It's just a way that they do to take stuff from people legally. But they saw something. Not only did they thought that they could get more information than what they got out of me, so they wanted to put me through a lot of stress, which was to put me in jail, mm-hmm. for as long as they did. But also, they also wanted my things. They wanted what I had, right? And so they had to do what was necessary, I guess, for them to get everything legally that they wanted, and that was to place me in jail and take everything.
And you were in for 3 weeks,
right? Did
you need to be in for 3 weeks, or was it like?
I feel like no. I mean, for my first time and no history of any criminal, I don't have any criminal background, right, on the records or criminal record, whatever. I don't have any of that. I think it shouldn't have been that. I shouldn't have lasted. I shouldn't have, been in there for that long.
But did you actually have to go in front of a judge, or what? Why did it take so long?
Well, I did. I had a bond hearing on the 8th. I went in on the 7th. I was processed and I was placed in jail on the 7th, and I had a bond hearing on the 8th, uh-huh. Which was that next day. And it was the judge, he was due to the crime, it was out of his jurisdiction to give me a bond. So I had to be bonded out by a superior judge. And at the time, the superior judge, I think all of them, I think that was what my lawyer said. He said that all of the superior judge were out of town.
Oh, lucky you.
Right, at the time. And so they couldn't, what happened was my lawyer went for another bond hearing, and this is on the 8th now. The bond hearing, the judge that, said that he was was not in his jurisdiction to give me a bond. He set me a date for a preliminary hearing for a superior judge on February 12th. Now, this was January 7th. I would have been in there a whole month. Now, I'm not thinking about whatever else. I'm thinking about school at this point, because I can't miss a whole month of school. That's going to put me back. I'm supposed to be graduating fall 2020. Now I'm not graduating until spring 2021.
Because of that?
Because of that. But it's okay. So my lawyer says he puts up, he had it signed and ready to go to turn it in. He said he can't get me another bond hearing until January 28th. So I was like, still 2 weeks, man, but it's better than a whole month, right? So that's why I had to stay in there for a whole 3 weeks, whole 22 days.
Give me a quick summary of what that experience was like, staying in there, either what you learned about.
I did not, man, all I know is I was closely connected with Drew Humphreys, and I love him. That's why I said his name, right? So
he's a friend. It's okay.
Yeah, I want him to see this. I want him to notice how much I appreciate him and everything. He was there spiritually, talking to, keeping me, sane, I guess, just to make sure that I wasn't losing my mind, which I was losing my mind, but he helped me not to lose my mind. He helped me with scripture and all that good stuff, just to kind of like try to keep my mind off of things, because basically while you're in there, when they shut that door, being in there, caged like an animal, in a cage like an animal, but you're just basically just in your mind, man. When I first got in there, there was a guy, he was in there, he was an older guy, which I prefer older folks than younger folks, because, I just prefer older folks. Just being, if I'm going to be caged up with someone, let it be an older person. Because, they're not with all of the negativity as some of the people that are my age would be. He was a good guy. He kept me laughing. Told me stories. I mean, he was just a really good guy. So I think my time with him was really good, but it ended that night, really.
Yeah.
I was okay with that because he had some issues with his body. And so I had to switch rooms, and I was by myself. I was in a room by myself, and I was kind of cool. It's like, man, I'm in a room by myself. No one's here. I'm good. I think I can sleep good, because on the 8th, I'm gonna be home tomorrow.
Yeah, so much.
But no, I get back. I'm not really having any issues. I know people. People know me. My uncle, they knew my uncle a lot. A lot of people knew him. So I guess with people knowing him, people were cool with me. I didn't have any problems, really. Being in the cell that I was in, it was a closed dorm. So there was no movement unless you had bottom tier, top tier. There was no movement unless your tier or was released for like a free time, So that was it. When I was there, since they moved me from the bottom tier had the free time when I got there. But since they moved me from the bottom tier to the top tier, I did not have no free time at all. Because the top tier didn't have any. Like, well, they did, but when I was transported to the top, like, I didn't have any free time. So I was just locked in for hours behind that door. The only time I wasn't locked in is when my lawyer would come, or, I would have visitation. And I would pray on that. I was like, man, come on, somebody come see me so I can get out of this room. Something, because everything is in that little room. You got the toilet there, you have the sink there, and then they would bring you your lunch and they would bring you your dinner and your breakfast. They don't serve you lunch. You only get 2 meals a day, 2 hot meals.
Man. So when you actually do get out, what, I'm sure that's an amazing feeling, but like, what do you believe or think differently after you get out and have some time to reflect of how everything went down and what happened?
Well, my whole experience in all of this, I think being in jail, I met some good people. They finally moved me to an open dorm. I moved to the back because I was there for so long. Well, I was going to be there for so long. So I met some good people, and it was an open dorm. People were great. But so my experience actually still wasn't the best, but it was all right. I could deal with it, because I had some good people. I made some good friends. I made some good, I met some good guys in there. But in this whole experience, man, I don't know. It just kind of showed me, right? I don't know. I found myself at a point where, I would try to talk and walk and try to be white, right? I don't know. I don't know. I wasn't purposely doing it. I guess I was adapting to my environment. As far as
when you got out of prison?
No,
before.
Before.
Oh, okay.
But going into jail, right, kind of opened my eyes that it doesn't matter how white I talk or act or walk or whatever. I'm sorry, I don't know how this is. Hope this is not offending anybody.
Well, no, it's just it's a big thing to say, and I don't want to brush over it.
Right.
Because you are feeling, for whatever reason, which you can explain if you want, that either like you are better off sounding a certain way or acting a certain way because it's going to produce something better than what you have now.
Right. I mean,
for whatever reason that is, either relationships, jobs, school, or it's better in the world out there if I'm more like this than more of maybe who I really am.
Right.
But you didn't realize that until later.
I didn't realize that. Yeah. So because of this whole situation, right? Didn't matter. There's only one thing that does matter, is I'm black, right? And so I can talk that way, I can walk that way, but I'm still going to be treated like I'm black.
You're a young black man regardless of...
Right.
Yeah.
I'm still going to be treated like I'm black. And so I just felt like that was the situation. That they saw, I guess they saw a black young man that they can probably destroy, but little did they know I'm a fighter. Just saying. They probably saw that. They probably thought that too as well. But I'm still going.
And I do want to cover like one other incident you've had recently with just race as it comes to the job situation, and that you're literally just telling me about when we got in here, and like what happened with that, and what caused you to make the decision you did.
Man, I was working for Alder, and it's a security company. It's a home protection. It's a good company, and they really they take care of their workers, right? And they took care of me. I think what made my decision to leave is my experience with race. We did a lot of soliciting, man. We did a lot of door-to-door sales. We would go knock on people's doors and, ask them, hey, do you want this product? Leave it, take it or leave it. No, it wasn't like that. No, we actually tried to
persuade a little, huh?
Persuade and try to sell, because that's where we make our money. But anyway, we would go into areas, man, that were very, 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 very racist. Statesboro, Swainsboro. These places should be known. But yeah, we were going to these places, man, and I have had some interactions with a couple of people who were just not really, really nice. They were just having a bad day. That's how I like to think of it. And it was very, very hard to see, because I'm a good person, man. I'm coming up to you, and I'm me being a good person. I'm automatically thinking people in general are just nice, right?
Mm-hmm.
But no, it's not. Closely, my eyes are open. Well, my eyes have been open, but
yeah. But I think somebody listening or watching this right now too is going to like think the other side of it. It's like, okay, you've had this prison experience and now you're
Right.
overly sensitive to race and okay,
Which
what really did happen,
Right.
or are you just really heightened right now where maybe you think something happened and didn't, but you're saying like,
no,
I'm actually awakened to more things now, and
this
like,
is really happening.
this is real deal.
This is real, because I wouldn't have left the job if it wasn't. No,
Mhm.
it's real. I was walking, and I had a Caucasian guy pick me up, and well, I didn't really get in his car because his car was that kind of junky. So it was a truck. I got into the bed of his truck, and he drives me, and I don't know where he's taking me, but I know he's saying that he's taking me out of harm's way. That's what he's saying.
So he said, "You're not safe. Let me take you out of here," kind of thing. Like where you're at.
No, he said he's talking to me while he's driving with a straight face and said, "Man, you should not be walking out here. These people, they will run you over." He said it's not safe for me to be walking out here. It was one lady who one of my friends, we stopped, and this was like in a country area, but we stopped at this house, and both of my friends, one go and he knocks on this lady's door, which she turns out to be they were black, they were pastors of a church. And then my other friend goes off and he knocks on the neighbor's door. And the lady, she's painting like the side of her house, and he's coming from over there. He comes like he's walking back from the house because he had already had some interactions with the people, the neighbors, and he's coming back. And the lady, she's yelling at him. She's like, "Hey, why are you over there?" Like she's yelling at him. She was like, "Why are you over there?" And he's stuttering. He doesn't, he was just doing his job. He doesn't know how to explain himself. And he was quite new, like me. And my friend that was in the passenger, he gets out and explains to the young lady, well, the first lady, and he lets her know that he's doing his job. We sell home, we do home security. And he was just doing his job. We go to, what we're doing here we were doing the same thing to her home.
Mm-hmm.
So, but she says, "Look, I'm sorry to be upset." She was like, "Don't go over there because they will kill you. They are racist." And I'm listening. I'm hearing all of this. I'm like, oh my goodness. I mean, we're just offering home protection. We're trying to protect people. We're not trying to do anything. We don't want to be killed over this, trying to help people, right?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, yeah. She said, don't go over there. They will kill you. And I think that did it for me, because I saw, and there's a post that I want to read from my phone that I got from somebody, but I saw that and I started reading up on some of the killings of innocent black people who have lost their lives because they knocked on somebody's door and somebody thought that they were breaking in. It's always a story.
Man, so you got a lot of you're a young dude and got a lot of experiences, man. A lot of experiences. And kind of we wrap things up. I'm really interested to hear how, now I've gone through all the stuff you went through when you were younger, through your experience of going to prison and being accused of what you didn't do, to experiencing racism just recently with work and not feeling safe. Like, how has all these experiences changed your view with your faith and just how you view race?
Man, it doesn't change anything. I mean, yes, you get upset, but I'm not the person to hold a grudge. I will forgive and I will move on.
Mhm.
That's who I am. It's basically, that's, you know, the only thing that I can't get over is the fact that it can happen to me.
Mhm.
Right. And I'm always on my P's and Q, like always just alert, you know, in my surroundings. If something don't feel right, if it don't feel right, I'm not doing it. Like this job, that's why I stopped it. Right.
Mhm.
Because I don't want to be that person going up to that door to offer a service that will help somebody, but then I lose my life. Right. So that's why I stopped the job. That's why I didn't do it. And it's sad that I have to stop something that was making me money because of that, right? And that's why, can I read this to you? Can I read this?
You're the guest.
Look, that's why I really like this post. Is because I do feel that people like me, black folks, can't really do too much, man. Really, I feel like I can't. I feel like I really can't do anything. And I think what I like about what was said here is that it was awesome. So it says black people are so tired. It says we can't jog due to Ahmaud Arbery. You know, we can't relax in the comfort of our own homes, right? And due to a situation of two people losing their life in their own house. It says we can't ask for help after being in a car crash. We can't have a cell phone. We can't leave a party to get to safety. We can't play loud music, as we were talking about the young dude. Mm-hmm. We can't sell CDs. We can't sleep. We can't walk from the corner store. Trayvon Martin. We can't play cops and robbers. We can't go to church. The Charleston 9. We can't walk home with Skittles. We can't hold a hairbrush while leaving our own bachelor party. We can't party on New Year's Eve. We can't get a normal traffic ticket. We can't lawfully carry a weapon. And I carry a weapon almost every day, especially if I have my nephews and with me, my little brother, because I don't want nothing to happen to him. We can't, and I'm legal. We can't break down on a public road with car problems. We can't shop at Walmart. We can't have a disabled vehicle. We can't read a book in our own car. We can't be 10 years old walking with our grandfather. We can't decorate for a party. We can't ask a cop a question. We can't crash our check. We can't cash our check in peace. We can't take out our wallet. We can't run. We can't breathe. We can't live. And we're tired.
And all those are real instances where
black people have lost their lives doing those things.
And I think, for, white people or other people that listen to that and be like, oh, come on, man. I know black people that can do that, or you can go do that. It's the bigger picture of These are people that lost their lives doing something that should not have happened because of their skin color. And even if you haven't lost your life because of something like that, it's always going to be in the back of your mind
that it can
when certain things like that happen. And that's a lot of times that's where the disconnect is with people, whether they're at church with you or you work with them or they're friends or something like that, where it's like, oh, man, you're overreacting. It's too much. But that's something I have to think about because I know what's happened and it hurts and it's a weight that I always have to carry.
Right.
And you don't. And until you ask me about it or you understand it, there's always going to be some kind of a disconnect where you don't really get it.
It's a war, man. And every, I guess, black person or female, male, whatever, but really males, I don't, your parents never told you, well, my grandparents have told me, but you would never hear your parents say you have two strikes against you. You're a male and you're black. Mm-hmm. those are the 2 strikes against you already. 3rd strike, you're out, right? So I've already got 2 that are against me. I'm a male and I'm black. And I really don't, I don't hear it much often, but I think people should black young men should understand that you already have 2 strikes. Don't add the 3rd, right? And it's sad. It's sad that you already have those 2 strikes. It's crazy, but we're in a war, like for real. If it's not with our own kind, it's with police brutality, racist, whatever. This one black man, me, or any other black person, they're in a war with their own kind, police brutality, whatever, racist, whatever. You know what I mean? It's not, It's hard. I got a picture, which after the podcast I'll show you, that it speaks a lot. It speaks to what I'm saying, right? And there's 2 pictures actually that I got off of social media, where the world it's very clear that there's privilege in one area, and the other one is just getting leftovers. But hey.
Well, this is a great way to kind of segue to the challenge at the end when we finish our podcast of
right.
You've really laid it out of what it's like for someone like you. You know what I mean? And
right.
Not everybody is like you.
Right.
But you still also speak for a large demographic of people that have experienced something like that a lot of people that might be watching or listening to this don't understand, or they don't want to understand because it makes them feel uncomfortable.
Right.
But what I like is like at the end is doing a challenge, like the things that you have been through because of being a young black man, because of racial issues, or just things that you've shared that you struggle with and a lot of other people do, whether they've actually had to go through something physical that has happened because of it, or
right.
just because of that emotional weight that's carried for experiences that have happened to other people like you, or that could happen to you. What can someone do that doesn't have that or wants to know more about it, that can just take one simple step into your world or your life to understand or to know or to help in some way? Practical. It's not like, hey, you're going to solve all racial issues and, go read all these documentaries, but like, okay, I have a young black man in my life that I have access to, or either friends, or I can approach them and I can do what to either understand more or to just help. What can they do?
You could do a lot by just listening to that person. A lot of people, I feel like right now, I feel like this is doing a little bit of justice, that people can really just sit down and listen to the story. I just want people to understand. I just want people to understand that it's harder for me than for other people, I guess, for other races. Not even just for the black race, but for other races that are not considered white, right? It's hard. How can I help them? How can I help to like I said, just sitting down and listening to people and understanding, right? Doing some research, right? Getting out of being comfortable and getting used to being uncomfortable. Doing as much research as you can, like as far as just history of the black culture or whatever. Just understanding. I think my biggest thing with some of the people at Compassion, because that's where I go. It's where I really encounter most of the people most of the time, because I'm always there. But I think most of the time, some of them want to understand but don't really want to, because they're, like you said, not comfortable with it. But if they can find a way to get out of being comfortable, because it's not going to make you comfortable. It's sad. Like, as me being a black guy, it makes me uncomfortable, right? To hear some horrible stories, especially in the past, horrible stories. There's some deaths of black people, lynchings, that I don't ever want to see it. I'm glad that the world is not like that again. Horrible.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah, well,
it's understanding that, and then trying to find, because there are some people who don't know that they may, oh, I have black friends or whatever like that, but don't know really inside some people are really racist, but they don't know there's a little inch of it, a little bit in there, because they'll go so far with a black person, but there's moments where you have to cut it off, right?
Mm-hmm.
Cut off whatever. But yeah, man, but there are a lot of people, I think, there are a lot of people that do understand. I really do appreciate those people who have really welcomed me into their family and really accept me for who I am, and really the ones who say they do see color, because I want them to see color. I want you to see it because I'm black. If you don't see color, then you're not going to be able to see me. That's my saying. Mm-hmm. People who say they don't see color shouldn't say that, because then you're saying you don't see me, because I'm all color. I'm all color, man. So I need you to see me. Uh-huh. I need you to see where I come from. I need you to understand me, and I need you to just. That's it. I mean, there's nothing really that I ask for.
Yeah. Nothing
else really that I ask for. I mean, I don't want you to, I'm good with my journey and how my journey. It's been a rough one, but it's been a good one. I've had a lot of good days, and I think my good days outweigh my bad days. That's good.
Yeah. Well, and to add on to what you're saying too, it's like one of our favorite things to say is empathy requires proximity.
Right.
So if you're really going to care about what you're going to say, then like you got to get close, and it's going to be uncomfortable. And,
right.
And for you or other black friends, when you have conversations about race, like I don't want to speak for you, but for a lot of my friends, like you want to know that if we're going to talk about this, that you're willing to like really listen and get into it, and not just bail out when it gets tough, because that can be exhausting too. It's like,
right.
Don't just come up and say you care about, hey, race and stuff you went through, but then like you only go to this certain point, and then it's like, oh, no, I'm just going to check out. Well, that's really exhausting when you say you care, but then you don't really want to hear all of it or like
right.
take time to understand it. And so I know from my experiences with you, you're someone that is willing to allow somebody to understand it, but you want to make sure that they really want to. And you know what I mean?
They really want to. Right.
Like when we had our first conversation about it, it's like you knew I cared enough that we were going to do it, so you're willing to put yourself out there and really
right.
explain your heart and what you were going through. But if you're not going to get that, then
I'm not going to waste my time. Yeah. Look, one thing I do, people say I want the truth, but you really don't want the truth. But I do. There are some people that say, hey, I want to know more about you. I want to understand this, but they really don't. I become apoplectic when people say, I want to get to know you, but they really don't. Come on now.
Nice word, by the way.
Huh?
Nice word.
Thank you, man.
Apoplectic.
I'm a word,
dude. Well, man, I appreciate you, and I hope people that know you that are going to listen to this will take the time to reach out and just either encourage you or say, I'm really thinking about things differently, or hope sometime we can have a real conversation about it, so you
right.
can help me and I can listen. And that people that don't know you, who know someone else like you, will reach out to them and say, hey man, I'm willing to sit down now and really hear what it's like for you, because you're not going to get it from just your social media news stories and articles people are sending you. Like you have to sit down with real people and have a real
right.
conversation in order for you to actually care and not just click away and go on to the next thing. Yeah.
I was trying to share awareness. I think it was Black History Month where I was sharing all that good stuff. It really wasn't good stuff, but I mean, when you talk about Black History Month, hey, that's what, and for me being black, why not? Why wouldn't I share that stuff? Yeah. I think I didn't have anybody come to me and say, oh, you shouldn't post that. No. Mm-hmm. And I actually had some good responses from people feeling sorry, but I'm not trying to make people feel sorry.
No,
that's not my intentions. I'm not trying to upset anybody. I'm not trying to make anybody angry. But I'm just trying to.
But you're not going to hide from it either anymore.
No, I'm not. And I'm going to raise awareness.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to see the history. That's why it's history, and it's still here. It's going to be here forever. But it's good to go back and just, I guess, open the eyes. Some people, I use it to like help people open their eyes a little bit. Like, oh my goodness, right? Like, this was happening, 40 years ago.
A lot of things have changed, but there's a lot of things that haven't.
But
well, man, I appreciate you being willing to come on.
Yes, sir.
The podcast, and I've wanted you to come on for a while since we really had the conversation after you got out of prison. Really, it was in February, I think.
It was in February.
Had a mutual friend who said, she reached out. I was like, hey, I know Jabre, but maybe like go talk to him about what's going through. Man, I was pumped, not for what you went through, but it's just like, man, I want you to feel like there's people that want to hear your story and care. And, I appreciate you being willing to come on and share it. And I think it's going to do good things. It was good for me just to hear it as well. So I appreciate you.
I was trying not to go all over the place.
We kept you in. I know you can talk.
You're
good.
I can drift off sometime, man. And then, because these stories have layers that you don't want to miss something, right?
Yeah.
But
I think you painted a really good picture
from
all of it, that people understand it, but then they also want to dig in more, whether that's with you or with someone else that has maybe gone through some of the things you have. So just appreciate you being here, man. Thank you for your friendship, and it was really good, and looking forward to talking some more about all this stuff.
All right, man.
So appreciate you, Quinn, for producing, City Church for hosting, and is there any social media or any way if somebody wanted to reach out to you or follow you that we can put up on the screen?
Yeah, well, you can follow me at Jabre _ it's the kid, or you can follow me Jabre Brown Jabre, Facebook. Either way, I'm on there. And that's pretty much it, man.
Cool. We'll put that up on the screen, and we'll obviously tag you to our post when we put out your podcast and all your stuff too. So, man, thanks again. Appreciate you being here.
Definitely.
Thank you for checking out The Neglected, and we'll catch you next time. Peace.
Mm-hmm.